can I just firstly say a thank you to my friend Kaspers Meserinch, who runs the Riga Business School AI Lab, because he did the organization for us. And without him, because if you see this, I've been in and out of Ukraine for the last few months, so I didn't do any work. He did it all. We're missing, that's mine, you're here. Excellent. Okay. Approximately 65 years ago, I read Isaac Asimov's I, Robot, which was probably one of the first real science fiction books of its genre, and gave us the rule that robots should not kill people, should not harm people. 65 years ago. 40 years ago, we saw in Alien 2 the synthetic robot actually harmed someone and then changed his mind inside his AI, whether he was allowed to actually to kill people or not. About the same time, we saw Terminator 2, which was the battle between people and robots. That was all science fiction, people. Now, we have Boston Technologies producing robots that look like people. We have China with drone swarms of tens of thousands of drones flying all over the place, something we cannot actually deal with at the moment. And we also have a real battle in the east of Ukraine. And that battle includes, around Kursk, about 4 weeks ago, the first non-human battle, robots against robots. Wheeled robots, drones against wheeled robots and drones. So we've gone from science fiction, and now I'm going to ask Kaspers to talk to us about science fact in defense at the moment. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces. So we actually split just a bit more than 12 hours ago with most of you during the reception. So I will try to kick the discussion in sort of starting with the theoretical overview for the general public to understand in easy words without the abbreviations what exactly AI is doing at the moment in the battlefield, then try to sketch what organization I represent is trying to do, and we are sort of an interesting animal in the zoo. I represent Latvian Mobile Telephone, and I'm Defense Technology Department Director there, so we are perhaps the most dual-use telco operator in Europe. And then I will prepare the battleground for Agris about the robotics and try to sketch what are the mechanisms and what are the things we can sort of based on to develop things further. So if we talk about the AI and what we see in Ukraine, that's the paradigm shift when the human actually is not anymore the key decision maker or the key element in the kill chain. We see the tremendous development pace of the systems like Delta, Krapiva, Veja. These are just number of systems Ukrainians have developed throughout the years locally in Ukraine for the situation awareness purposes. And the nature of the war, as Glenn already sketched, is actually completely data-driven. There's so much data on the battlefield that you need the backbone to support the aggregation of the data and trying to understand what actually means what we see on the screen, starting from trying to understand what we see on the hundreds of the video streams from drones. And when we talk about drones, we are not talking only about the flying drones anymore. We are talking about the ground vehicles, we are talking about subwater vehicles and surface vehicles. Ukrainians has just shown a actually last week, I guess, the first application of the surface robotics in the naval air defense. You want to ask a question?
No, 3rd of May.
Yeah, yeah, 3rd of May. And if we talk about the communications, that's another part. So situation awareness, that's just the bunch of data coming into the command posts. If we talk about the getting data to command post, then we have to touch the topic of communications, which is sort of our expertise. So what we see in Ukraine at the moment is appearance of huge amount of non-conventional for military communication systems. And I look at the German officers here. So when I talk about non-conventional military systems, in military, even 5 years ago, or to be honest, 3 years ago, we mostly were focused on thinking about green radio stations and nothing else. What we see now in Ukraine is actually appearance of the 4G, 5G, and whatever actually type of IP networks on the battlefield. And AI can play a tremendous role in the network planning and things like that. And of course, electronic warfare. The problem with Russia, beyond all the political things, technically, we have huge problems with Russia in electronic warfare domain. They are really, really good in that. And that is something where AI has huge potential in understanding electronic warfare environment and how to play around that threat. So what we are trying to do now here and what LMT Defense is working on at the moment. Everybody, perhaps, has heard about 5G testbed in Latvia. So already more than 5 years ago, in cooperation with Ministry of Defense and Armed Forces, we have established, at that time not even established, we started an initiative of the 5G testing site in one of our military bases. At the moment, we are practically trying to understand how to use 5G and those non-conventional communication systems for the military and what is the role of the AI there. Unmanned systems, that is something what Agris will touch upon, and I, with full responsibility, I can say that in Latvia and in Baltics in general, we are the center of excellence of the unmanned systems, and especially aerial robotics, and that is the topic for Agris to elaborate. Situational awareness, that is another point we discussed yesterday with the German colleagues, that actually all of us, we are trying to do the same thing. We are trying to understand how to fuse data, how to get the effect from the situational awareness and understanding of the situation on the battlefield. So we are developing locally here in Latvia situational awareness system and trying to understand the AI application in that as well. So what are the benefits of all this I have just mentioned? And they are, in a nutshell, they are very concrete and simple. First is the speed and scale, because the pace of the modern warfare is far away from hours-long decisions anymore. The decisions have to be made in a second. The situation has to be assessed in a seconds or minutes, and that's where we need AI to assist that. Scale is another. If we look at Ukraine, we haven't seen such size of geographical front line or contact line as in Ukraine since Second World War. What we can add additionally to the experience of that geographically is the domain-wide scale. We are not fighting anymore in 3 conventional domains, which are land, sea, and air. We are fighting much wider in the space and cyber as well, and that's where the AI assistance has huge potential. Resilient communications. So when we talk about the AI and modern technologies like 5G and 6G and different mesh networks, then AI brings to the table things as the playing around the jamming, self-healing networks, etc. And summing this all up, there are a couple of challenges, of course. And the main challenge is that military, by the mindset, is extremely conventional system and organization. And I responsibly can say that by my experience. I'm a reserve officer, So we have to start trust AI. And there are, of course, ethical elements as well, because what military does in every combat operation is so-called application of effects. It's not just killing enemy. You're identifying targets, assessing the situation, and you're deciding what effect to apply on the target. And sometimes the effect you are trying to achieve is destroying the target. And the question is then who takes the decision to destroy the target? Either it's a human or that's an algorithm. And that's huge, huge ethical discussion on that. And last but not the least, just to trying to sum up the Baltic ambition and strategic vision, then I think the collaboration, what was mentioned by the State Secretary, is the most important part in this game as well. Not only regionally in the Baltics, not only nationally between the industry, startups, large enterprises, LMT, Ministry of Defense, and end user, because we need the iterative approach, we need the agility, we need speed, we need feedback from the end user. Internationally between EU and Ukraine, because there is no any more experienced end user, unfortunately, and industry as Ukrainians, and on the NATO framework as well. And we have good examples with that. As I said, at least Latvia, we have managed to bring to Latvia through a tremendous effort of Ministry of Defense and industry, NATO digital backbone experimentation, which is like already yearly event every year here in Latvia. We're trying to assess all the challenges I just described. Over to you.
A tour de force, sir. A tour de force. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agris, are you going to tell us now about the detail, the drones, and the difficulty and the challenges, and where they're going?
Sure. Yes, I think when it comes to unmanned systems, robotics, the elephant in the room in terms of this discussion is always, I guess, how comfortable do we feel with passing decision-making authority over to a robot, code, AI model, because technology-wise, technology is no longer the limiting factor. Technology-wise, there are tactical scenarios, applications in which it is already possible. So for us, as a robotics company, it's a decision to be made. It is something that we, as developers, really have to assess and understand the implications of such technology. And currently, for us, it is not something that we feel comfortable putting out there in the market and passing over to our end users. With our systems, with the systems that we design, we still always have the operator in the loop. Even if all the operator has to do is push that one button which says confirm, we still want our operators to do that. We still don't feel like we trust the technology to the extent that we would allow autonomy to make that decision on behalf of the humans. The unfortunate part about this one is that because of the war, because of the necessity, the urgency, there will be teams building, offering, fielding systems which will claim that capability, and those systems will sometimes help protect and sometimes will be detrimental. And I don't know how do we go about it. I don't know how to manage that. But what I know is that technology has gone the distance. We have the tools, and that is currently already possible. And because many of the AI models and almost most of the AI models are somewhat open sourced. And the libraries are available, and you can play with them, you can tweak them, you can further modify them. it is rather broadly available. And it will become available almost simultaneously on both sides of the front line. And that is a bit of a mess. And I think that that is one aspect which, needs good thought process and good leadership in terms of, how do we manage this, because that is not an easy one. And there is one thing, to leave it to companies to decide. If we feel comfortable with that, great. I'm just not sure if that is enough. In terms of building around AI, building around computer vision, for us, it's not something where we think that we as a company can stand out. There are other things which we do in order to differentiate our offering from the rest of the field. As I said, the simple problems in AI are somewhat open source, and with a good group of engineers, you can tweak those models and make them work. The really, really hard problems, when it comes to large data sets, are the problems that larger companies will solve. And I don't think that, most startups have really a substantial opportunity there. And for the most part, we will use the end results there, which is also fine, which is what we do in many instances. Because that decision-making authority is kind of one aspect of the AI game. There are other added benefits to robotics that AI and computer vision brings. Kaspar's touched upon jamming. That is one very practical one where AI and computer vision, even more so, can substantially, help and advance these systems that are operated in the battlefield. But honestly, for me, I think really the elephant in the room is decision-making authority, and that's one, that bugs me. I think about it quite a bit. Because I do at this point realize that the tools are kind of there, and you can kind of start playing with these scenarios where you let it go and make that decision on its own.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I've got a question for you afterwards. Over to you, sir. The geopolitical aspects of this.
Thank you, Glenn. Ladies and gentlemen, I will have a bit sort of broader and more holistic view on things, and I'll speak about geopolitics of artificial intelligence, and only 3 slides. To start with, on the background of 2 AI-generated images, I would like to raise several points. So one is the times that we live in. So we live in times of incredible change. You scroll back time a few centuries ago, and you could live entire life without noticing any technological advances. So basically, you could wear the same shoes, if any, entire life. But now people tend to change even smartphones more frequently than shoes. Things changed rapidly in 19th and the 20th century, obviously with the advent of transportation like railroads, electricity, so forth, and 21st century has been groundbreaking. iPhone was presented only in 2007, so in less than 2 decades, things have changed fundamentally. So, can we survive without an iPhone, or whatever? Yeah. Apologies, that's not the advertisement. Smartphone. That's the proper term. Now you can do everything: banking, dating, taking pictures, everything. And AI obviously is the next big thing. And as in the history, for example, the Roman organized armies, gunpowder, or maneuver warfare, also the AI has the potential to change things drastically. So this is indeed a geopolitical struggle. And the other image on the right-hand side, with that, I wish to underline that we currently still live in American-dominated virtual space. So there are obviously a few notable exceptions with some European companies, Chinese companies, but otherwise, well, it's an American world. We still tend to Google things, ChatGPT things, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, so forth and so on. And is there an alternative yes, there is DeepSeek, the groundbreaking model that was presented last year by China, by a Chinese company. And as the anecdote goes, don't ask a man how much he earns, and don't ask a woman her age. And now don't ask DeepSeek what happened in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. And, but I did exactly that. I asked, and probably as many others of you asked, what happened in Tiananmen. Well, he responded, or she, or it, that, I'm sorry, can I answer this question? I'm a system designed to provide helpful and harmless responses. So this is a glimpse of how cyberspace is organized in China. Well, this is heavily censored for those who don't know. Not many Western companies operate there, and those who operate are censored. And this is a lot broader story. So you ask anything, for example, I asked, why did Russia invade Ukraine? Well, and basically, well, this would be Xi Jinping, or whoever from Chinese Communist Party. So it says that the conflict between Russia and Ukraine is a complex issue, and so forth and so forth. And that is what is at stake. So it's not only about defense, it's also about the world that we live in. Imagine that if we lived in Chinese-dominated cyberspace, so things might have looked differently. And the geopolitics of AI, again, 3 pictures. Currently, there are only 2 superpowers. One is called the United States, and we might like or dislike or have some reservations about President Trump and Elon Musk, who is in charge of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. But the other superpower is China, People's Republic of China. And so China is rising power. What is not noticed when it comes to military things, China currently has the biggest navy. It's not the United States. The United States has traditionally been a sea power. China has the largest navy by the count of ships, not currently by the count of tonnage. And then also in many other ways, China is ahead. There has been a lot of talk about Europe, about Germany. Germany is not anymore ahead when it comes to producing vehicles. Well, the largest market and also probably the largest exporter is China. Chinese companies are coming in also in Latvia. You see Great Wall Motors, Ora, Dongfeng, BYD, which is larger than Tesla and better and cheaper. So this is the world that is coming. Russia. Russia obviously is not the superpower. The adage about Russia, it's basically only a gas station with nukes. So there's not much apart from weapons and hydrocarbons. But Russia is very effective at dismantling things. So we have to be ready for a bumpy ride for foreseeable future. So Russia's economy maybe is around the 10th or 11th globally, but in Russia there's price for human life it's very low. Also to produce a tank or to fill the tank of the tank, it costs a lot less in Russia. The image that I chose of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin was on 9th of May. And again, as the saying goes, tell me who are your friends, I'll tell you who you are. And obviously, China is coming. There is going to be more of China. Last but not least, the European Union. So you see here the College of Commissioners, and there are many, and quite often we tend to criticize. So why can't we, do as the Americans or the Chinese? Obviously, we are not a single state. These are 27 states, and nothing will change in that essence. And it was, I think, 1991 when the then Belgian foreign minister, Mark Uskens, told that the European Union is a political, he told that it is an economic giant, a political dwarf, and a military worm. And I think when it comes to military things, not much has changed. The European Union is still a military worm. It has progressed substantially. And to conclude with, I will rephrase Halford Mackinder. He is one of the fathers of geopolitics. In one of his, well, not one of, but probably the most famous dictums, he wrote this in the beginning of 20th century, during the times when railroads progressed significantly. So he wrote that the one who will dominate the East Europe will dominate the heartland. The one who will dominate heartland will dominate the world island, and the one who will dominate world island will dominate the world. And to paraphrase that, the one who will dominate artificial intelligence probably will also dominate the world. So it is a geopolitical struggle, and we here in the Baltics, we're well, we're a small player, but we still have a stake. We are part of NATO, the European Union. We must build alliances, and we have to be active and work also with friends that maybe, you know, we have some reservations. Thank you. I stop here, Glenn.
Thank you. I've got a couple of questions for you guys to start off with. The first one is data. You talked about data. At what stage is Russia and China going to start messing with our battle data so that actually we have to go back to different systems from the ones that we're trying to use at the moment?
I think, I mean, same as us, trying to learn from Ukraine at the moment and trying to gather data, because we are gathering data as well. Any decent defense industry enterprise at the moment is either in Ukraine or minimum following it, or is not in the defense industry, absolutely for all the industry. We are traveling there frequently with only one aim: to gather data, to improve our products, to understand how the battlefield works there. And same is with our opponents. They are doing the same thing. And I think the short answer is that never. They will continue to gather the data, to understand the way of operations and what military call modus operandi of Ukrainian forces, because for everybody that is clear that if at the moment we are teaching Ukrainians, then as soon as Ukrainians will have a time for that, we will be learning from them, and we will be fighting as them. So I think the data gathering process is continuous and will continue from the China and Russia side uninterruptedly.
Yeah, I think he covered it well. You know, I don't think that I can add much substance there.
But take that into the battlefield. What about our systems, your system, actually in the battlefield with Russia trying to confuse your drones? How do you deal with that? Is your AI designed to deal with that?
Well, that's an ongoing one. You know, you might feel good about it today and then, you know, struggle, you know, the next day. So it's something that constantly is happening. These technologies are constantly evolving. The battlefield obviously is, you know, the greatest accelerator in terms of speed of iterations. You know, those cycles become shorter and shorter. You know, and yeah, that is what you face as a developer. You know, you don't sleep on your achievements. You know that you know that will be short-lived. So you constantly look for that next thing that will push its capabilities further and will you know, address the challenges that you are probably already aware of, or you are just you know, foreseeing in the future. So it is a tough industry to be in from that perspective. From the other perspective, you know, there is high demand and there is that real need. But then at the same time, it's a very high-paced industry right now. And if you don't come with a background to it, in our case, you know, we were building autonomously flying consumer drones, drones for commercial industries, you know, 10 years back. So we kind of come with that baggage of deep expertise in the field, and that's why we are, you know, probably successful and able to keep up with it. But yeah, for newcomers, it's tough, you know, because you know that pace can outpace you.
But at the moment, you LMT and your companies, you're effectively separate from the battlefield system. You're probably quite close in that respect. But I mean, in Ukraine at the moment, they're linking the factory with the front line, and totally, you know, like the same organization.
Well,
So
as Kaspar's already said, you know, if you are not in one way or the other there, you know, you are probably irrelevant, if not already, then in the next, you know, couple of years. So you have to be there in one way or the other. You know, it does not necessarily mean that, you know, you are fighting the war.
No.
But it definitely means that you are very well aware of the challenges that you know, your systems are facing there.
And I mean, we are, to be honest, the only way how we are separated from the way how it works in Ukraine, because you are absolutely right. What Ukrainians are doing, they are actually bringing industry almost in the trenches to get the feedback as soon as possible, because only feedback will, only the end user's feedback about the things which work or not work will enable the agility in the product development. And if we talk about Latvian industry and the part of the Latvian industry which is seriously in the defense, the only thing what separates us from the battlefield at the moment, for God's sake, is the geographical distance. But as I said, Latvian industry intensively travels to Ukraine, and we are living in Signal, WhatsApp, whatever chats with the Ukrainian industry, with the Ukrainian military, to get that information. And that pace of work is not from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening. I mean, these are, if you are getting feedback or somebody is writing to you in Signal chat at 2 o'clock in the night, you are working.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. We have time for at least 2 questions from the audience. Has someone got the microphone over there, please? Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can't have been that bad. Yes, please? No?
We will start asking questions.
Oh, wheels. Go on. Yeah, you got a question? Yes. Who's got the microphone? Ah, here it comes. The lady there, please.
Thank you. So you have mentioned AI specifically when talking about communication security. My question would be, how about quantum communication? Is that something you do have on the agenda with regards to making communication securely? Because if we talk about short distances, this is possible today.
Yeah. So it's very, very similar question as one fantastic question I got yesterday when 6G is arriving. So it's something like that. I mean, at the moment, we are, if we talk about LMT and the industry in general, there are several initiatives on the national and international level where the quantum technology and quantum communications, quantum security, is assessed from the technology development side. So there is a particular European Defence Fund projects on the quantum side. LMT is on board of that as well. But with regards to the European Defence Fund activities, they are fantastic. There is funding, there is support of MOD, there is support of industry. Everything is perfect there. The only problem is that we are writing project for a year, then we wait almost a year when it starts, and then we are developing technology for 3 another years, and that period is 4 to 5 years. And if we sort of talk with Ukrainians, and if Agris would start talking with Ukrainians about his technology development and mentioning 1, 2, 3, 4 years, he would most probably work in some other industry now. So, shortly answering, yes, there are frameworks and mechanisms which assess at the moment the quantum technology as such. In Latvia, there is the national initiatives as well. Something to bring on the battlefield and test. I would say not. In lab, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there is a second thing to this, which is that in the drone, the transparent drone battlefield, you have to be in small groups, because the moment there's more than 4 of you, you are a serious target. And that means that you basically got to take your communications with you. So the more complex the communications, the heavier weight you've got to carry. Because if you bring a vehicle with you, you are a target. So you're on your feet in the front line, which is what most of the Ukrainians are. So they've already got their electronic warfare stuff on the back of one of the 4, and it's heavy. So the more you take, the less ammunition you can carry, and the fewer weapons you can take with you. So this is a fine balance, and it's really complex for people at the moment. And people are dying because of it, because they go out the front, and they can't communicate. And I know this from my colleagues who are actually fighting on the front line, losing 4 people, and then a week later they find they're alive, and they haven't been able to speak to them. So it's more complex than just having what they can deliver. It's a different war now. Okay, one more. Yes, please.
Thank you for the insights. I'm just reading the title of the discussion. I wanted to ask about the prospects for cooperation between the Baltic defense industries, to gain that advantage and technological edge. Can they work together more to be more successful?
You're the money man, boy.
Working together. Yeah, there's the expected answer and then the reality. The reality, I guess, is that working together somehow always turns out to be harder than we would love to, I guess. You really, for working together, what that would require, is each party bringing to the table something unique and something that party can do better than the other. So when that happens, we see great initiatives, great co-development projects, and we are involved in a project like that with a partner in Lithuania and in Germany, a company in one country, in the other, and us. And there, it was very natural because, each of us had something very specific, something where we shine. And for the solution to really be built, we needed all 3 of us. So when that happens, when you have that alignment, I think, that cooperation is natural and is happening. I think that very often, we kind of push for cross-border cooperations just to have it. And that's when we end up with these, artificial projects that last for many years that, never really, built anything meaningful, because these are like pressed from the institutions rather than comes naturally from the industries. So I think, that's what it all comes down to. We have to be experts in something. And then, if experts come together and, find a common initiative, common goal to work towards, that's when these initiatives happen. But effectively, that's what is necessary. We have to be really good at what we do.
May I add? Very quick point, because you, again, looking from strategic perspective, you kind of disconnect things from other areas. And the saying that we are, of course, the closest nations in many ways, but when it's about competition, we're the beloved enemies, even here in the Baltics. And you look at even at the armed forces, cooperation hasn't been easy. Well, there are many accomplishments, Baltbot, Baltron, Baltnet, so forth, but still we're buying completely different kits, sometimes the same, and also military cultures are so different among militaries. Yeah. And they think that Estonians think that Latvians are not really good, Lithuanians the same, and so forth, so forth. So probably this is also not a unique area.
Yeah, I think that is absolutely right. But it is also quite difficult because geographically means that people are not working together all the time. And if you're not working together all the time, you don't know what the other people are doing. And that makes it really, really, really quite challenging to understand who's writing what software. And several times I can say in the last 3-4 months, I've talked to someone and discovered they've already done something I was thinking about that I would like them to do. And I mentioned it, and they said, no, we've got that. But it hasn't been commercialized in a lot of cases, one. Two, they're having difficulty getting it into and through the defense system and the Ministry of the Defense System, not just the military, but the bureaucracy. And that's, if I would finish on that, that is probably the biggest area still where we've got to work at, is the speed between frontline industry and the processes that run in between. And on that note, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Precise to the second. Thank you.
Thank you.